Hi everyone, this is Kelly, Independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in McKinney, Texas, and this is my second card for my September class. We are using the bundle from Autumn Leaves. It's actually a suite that we're using. It's right smack dab in the middle of the new catalog, and it has really beautiful designer series paper. This next card features the paper. No die cut, well, one die cut and some embossing, but it's a fairly simple card, so let's get started. Let me show you what the card's going to look like. I have my bits and pieces off to the side here. So the card is going to look like this, and it's kind of like a book format. And this designer series paper, this is the reverse side. This was embossed in the copper. My card that I'm making today, I'm using the gold. I think it stands out better. The inside I stamped, but because this is for my class that I mail things to people, we will be doing a different inside, but it's just using the designer series paper to make it beautiful. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to stamp our envelope. And this is the only stamp thing outside of stamping for your embossed sentiment. So I'm going to use some Mossy Meadow, and I believe I used Cajun Craze before. So what we're going to do is this, and this is going to sound a little goofy. I'm going to bring something to stamp off on over here. This is wet, but this one's dry over here. So I'm just going to stamp off onto here. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp this with the Cajun Craze. Put my stamp in the stamp there. And then I'm going to open up the Mossy Meadow. And I am going to carefully add some green to it. You know, because fall leaves are not all orange or one color. They're usually pretty multicolored. So if you just go on the side, you can end up with a variegated color here. Now, I'm just going to stamp this one. I said I was going to stamp off, but I fibbed. I'm not going to. So you can see there's just a little bit of green on there. Now, I am going to enhance it with a little bit more green. So for the back side. And I'm just putting it kind of on the edges. I hope you can see how I'm doing this. Always take the darker color second if you're going to do this. The green is darker than the Cajun Craze. You would see the green on the pad if I did it, the green onto the orange. So I went orange onto the green. Not as noticeable. And let me put this on here. So this has just got a little bit more green to it and a little bit of orange, but it's kind of like that's how it looks when they're starting to change colors. So I'll take the stamping stuff out of the way here real quick and close up my ink pads, because that's always important to close up those ink pads. And in fact, whoops, I had ink pads go flying, so let me just take a hot minute and put them up where they belong so that they're not falling in our faces. That would be good. Okay, so let's get back to our card. So this is the card we're making, and you should have your envelope that you just took all your insides out of, a piece of copper, a square that looks like this with no embossing on it. I've pre-embossed mine. You should have a piece like this, which can be used either side, designer series paper either side, and another piece of designer series paper. Now, what I did is I adhered my designer series paper first. Oh, let me go on to the card base. The card base is 11 inches and scored at 5.5. It is 4 1/4 high. So 11 by 4 1/4 scored at 5.5, but it's scored again at 1.5 inches from the 5.5, so at the 4-inch mark. So if I were to measure this, this is going to be 4 inches or 1.5 inches and my score mark is. Okay, that's going to be important here in a moment. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to adhere our designer series paper, and I'm just using just some Stampin' Seal because that's a pretty good adhesive and I can put it on pretty quick. This is an easy card. It just looks complicated. Again, I try to do easy. I'm really good at complicated, but when it has to go across the internet and it has to go in a class where I have many different levels, I try to keep it as simple as possible. So now that I've adhered that, I'm going to take my beautiful copper ribbon, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a little bit of adhesive right here. So midway through, I'm going to put this here. It just holds it in place. That's all I want it to do, is hold it in place. And I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to do a square knot. Right over left, left over right. You know, it's the scouting thing to say it out loud. So I know it doesn't sound right, but it is. Right over left, left over right, and you've got a square knot if your fingers can make it move. My fingers are being fussy today. Well, we'll try it again up here. Okay. Right over left, left. Oh, I've already done the right over left. Now it's left over right. There we go. And if you do it right, you end up with a beautiful knot. Now my knot did not turn out as pretty as I wanted it to, and it's twisted. So we will undo that because we can. I do that a lot. I undo it. This just wants to be difficult today. I do not know why. So we'll start again. We're out here to the edge. We are going to go right over left. Pin her down. Left. This is my left one. Over right. Oh, look at that. When you do it in the right order, it comes out nice. Now, if you want your knot to be higher up, all you have to do is come back here and loosen this and just slide it. I want mine up a little higher, okay? And then I'm just going to scooch it and stick it down. Now, at this point, you are going to put adhesive in here. You can use seal, you can use tear and tape, you can use whatever you like at this point. I'm just going to adhere it down. And this is being a little funny. I don't know why it's doing what it's doing, but it did something weird. Okay. And then I'm just going to adhere that down. I'm going to use my bone folder and just go under here and do this. Now, I like to make sure my bows and stuff stay in one spot, so I tend to slide a little bit of a glue dot underneath there, so it's just staying where I want it to stay. It's not going to wiggle about, and then I can trim it as I will. Okay, now we're going to adhere our designer series paper, and before we do that, we're going to just bend this back. Okay, so now it's like a book. And the paper here is 3 3/4 by 4 inches. So this is 4 1/4 wide. The 4 inches is the longer side. And it should just fit in there if you're looking at where the fold is, about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. It's a beautiful look at some fall foliage. Now, I'm originally from upper Midwest. And where I lived on a bluff over the Minnesota, well, actually over the Mississippi River Valley. And on my way to work every day, I had to go past where the Mississippi River and the Minnesota River go together. And this is what it looked like every single fall. It was absolutely gorgeous. Now, I live in Texas now, And I love Texas, but there are times when I do miss the Midwest, and that's because I like these colors. Okay, so this is pretty much my outside done. I'm going to work on my inside, and here's where you need to make a choice. You can, again, this piece is going to be 4 by 3 3/4. It's going to fit right here. Okay, but you have to decide if you want the foliage up or if you want the shiny side up. I am going to go with the foliage side up so that, because they've got the green and everything, I just want the foliage on the inside too. So let me get this started. Sometimes this is a great adhesive, but sometimes just getting it started is what some people have trouble with. Now all I'm doing here is adhering this to my inside piece along this side. You can put a border on it if you like. I chose not to. And then I'm just going to make my little Z. You know, I make the Z. And now I'm going to adhere that to the inside of my card, giving myself about 1/8 of an inch border and trying to put it in as straight as I can. Okay, and the last thing I need to do is take some dimensionals and pop up my sentiment. So let me get some dimensionals here. Now I love using dimensionals. Most people would put 2 on this. I put 4 because I just think they're fun. And for $4 or $5 a package, it's a lot of fun for a little bit of money. That's what I'm thinking. The fun part is when these little octagon things show up on your dog when they're outside. And you go, how did that happen? Or you get out of the car and there they are at the doctor with you. Then I'm just going to put this down here, centering it as best I can. I didn't push it down. I like where it is. Now I'll push it down, and now it'll stay. So that is our simple card, card number 2. Let's just call this the book card. I think that's what it looks like as a book when it opens up. So thank you for watching my video. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Thank you. Bye-bye.